Yo, what is up, my beautiful people? Recently on the channel, we hit over 6,000 subscribers and over 1 million views, as you can see here. And that was always my goal for this channel. So I figured I could finally retire, but I realized I had to make a video between these two devices here, the biggest in their own way. So these two brought me out of retirement to make this video. So I'm gonna make sure I do it right. So before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, ring that bell, all that great YouTube stuff, because today we have a special one. These are the biggest in their own special ways. So right off the bat, right here we have the ROG Ally X, and this has the biggest, largest battery in any handheld to this day, 80 watt hours. That's right, the largest battery on any handheld. And this right here is the OneXplayer X1. This has the biggest display on any handheld. Check that out. This is an 11-inch display and it's just absolutely massive. So these devices are the biggest in their own way. So I came out of retirement just to compare these two devices to make sure I can show you guys what it really is about. So before we get into the comparison, I just want to let you guys know how we're going to do this. I'm not going to like just give you the specs and whatever like that. I'm going to tell you how each one of these devices excel, and that will give you a sense of which one is better in which way. And at the end of this, I'm going to run some benchmarks, give you my thoughts, and then you can make a decision on your own. Now, I'm actually not sure if there's anyone actually looking to buy between these two devices. Like, I don't think anyone that's looking to buy ROG Ally X is considering the X1, and I don't think anyone that's considering the X1 is looking to get the Ally X, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below if you've considered between these two devices. If you are considering between these two devices, which one did you get? Which one are you looking to get? Let me know in the comments if there's even one person that's actually considering between these two devices. I don't think there is anyone, but let me know in the comments down below. So right off the bat, let's start off with the ROG Ally X. How does the ROG Ally excel over other handhelds, and specifically over the X1? So the ROG Ally excels in the price. No, the ROG Ally X is one of the most expensive handhelds that you can like buy from like the mainstream manufacturers. That's like the Steam Deck and the Legion Go and the MSI Claw, even though I don't really count that one. But out of the major, mainstream manufacturers, the Ally X is like the most expensive at $800, but it's still less than the X1, which retail price is around $1,100. Now, I know you can say in the comments, you can find an open box Ally X for like $500, $600. I know, but I'm just going over the retail price as of the filming of this video, and the price that I actually got the Ally X for, which is $800. That's the retail price. And if you can find a deal, that's amazing. You should definitely pick it up if you can find it for a lower price. So the ROG Ally X in this comparison excels at the price. What's another way that the ROG Ally X excels? I would have to say the ergonomics. Now, the Ally X is not my favorite ergonomic device. That would have to go to the Anio Kun, but with this case on it, it does add a little bit more ergonomics, and just the button placement overall, it's just a little more, comfortable. I mean, the sticks, this right stick especially is just much more comfortable than the X1. Now, the X1 is not bad. If you have the X1, you definitely have to check out this grip. I'll leave a link to this in the description. You definitely have to check out this grip here because it is amazing. Has a lot of control and grip and comfort to the X1. But this stick here is a little lower than I would like. As you can see here, my thumb is a little bit lower than I would like. You can get away with by using the middle of your thumb, but if you're using the tip of your thumb, it is a little bit more uncomfortable than the ROG Ally X, which is a little bit more natural feeling in my opinion. So the price is much better, the ergonomics are better. What else does it excel? Of course, it has the biggest battery, so that's where it excels. It has the biggest battery on any handheld at 80 watt hours. Now, the X1 is no slouch, but for the device this large, you would expect maybe it can keep up, but it does lag a little bit behind. It has a 65 watt hour battery, which isn't tiny by any means, but with this huge device, I think it could fit in a bigger battery in the second generation, just considering that the X1 Mini also has a 65 watt hour battery, and this device is smaller. Now, it is thicker, but I think they could fit a bigger battery in this device. It is a thin device here, as you can see. It is much thinner, but I think they could fit a bigger battery. I don't know. Let me know if you're an engineer, if it's possible to fit a bigger battery in here. But 80 watt hours. This is the biggest battery on any handheld. That's where this device excels. It actually has a 23% larger battery, so that equates to about 13 minutes for every hour. So for example, if you get 2 hours on this, you're gonna get about, you know, an hour and a half on this at the same total system power. Now you can play with the TDP and try to, you know, preserve the battery, but at the same system power, you can expect around 13 more minutes for every hour on the LIX. So if you're getting, you know, 4 hours, you can expect to get around 3 hours on the X1, which is not a slouch, but the LIX takes it away. It just wins as far as the battery goes. Now, another way that the LIX excels is in the software. You can see here, I'm in the Armory Crate. And Armory Crate, guys, I gotta say it, I've tried all the softwares on all of the different handhelds. Armory Crate is the best on any Windows device. It just has a lot of options, a lot of control and customization. I love that every game you can have your own, you know, custom profile for the performance and for the controller. I really love that. Now, One X console has come a long way. You know, it started off as just this. Then we got the console mode for your games all in one place. This is all done automatically. Now, it even has now a way for you not only to program your controller, but we also have performance presets, which means we can go through here and every game, we can give it a different preset, but it's just lacking behind in some ways. It does have some unique features, like it has a game trainer, which is pretty much mods built into the One X console. So all of the supported games that have mods, you can actually activate the mods right from the One X console. I know some people don't really like mods because it's quote unquote cheating, but it doesn't work in any, you know, online games. So it's not like you're going to be cheating in Call of Duty. Just for offline games, if you want to have some fun, you do have the ability to have mods built right into the One X console. We also have the automatic TDP that will match your frame rate. So it does have some things that the even the LIX doesn't have. But I will say, just based on overall polish and overall feature set, I have to give the software to the LIX because it just has the best, you know, software, first party software on any Windows handheld. Now, of course, is Windows, there's an unlimited amount of, you know, software and different things you can do to control your device, but just out of the box, first party software, I have to give it to the ROG LIX. Now, where does the X1 excel? How does the X1 hit back? And what does it do to really, you know, be one of my favorite devices? I think that one of the main reasons it's one of my favorite devices, one of the main reasons it excels is the display. This is an 11-inch display, you guys. This is the biggest display ever put on a handheld, and it really shines. It just looks amazing, and I have no complaints. It is an 11-inch, 1600p, 120 hertz. This display is amazing. It gets super bright, even brighter than the LIX. Let me put it at full brightness here just so you can get a sense of the brightness. I'll put this at max brightness, and then I'll put the LIX at max brightness just so you can see here. Look at this. This is the LIX at max brightness. Just so you can see, I'm at max brightness, not trying to, you know, pull any tricks. This is max brightness, and this is max brightness. As you can see here, it's blowing out the camera, but in person it doesn't look washed out, of course. It's just because the camera exposure, it can't fully capture the level of brightness that the X1 is, you know, pushing out right now. And you can see the LIX is looking a little bit more, you know, muted as far as the brightness. That's because it doesn't get as bright as the X1. I know over the camera, it sort of looks like it's, you know, washed out, but I'm letting you guys know right now, in person, it looks amazing. It's not washed out. Let me see if I can adjust the brightness on my camera just so you guys can get a sense of how this looks, because I don't want you to think that this screen is kind of like washed out. Okay, so this should give you a better sense of the brightness. I sort of matched the exposure on the camera just so it doesn't blow out. Now, if you know about cameras, you know that if there's something is too bright and your exposure is locked, it will blow out the camera. That's just like you know, a thing about cameras. Your eyes are obviously going to adjust and it's not going to look blown out. But look at the difference in brightness. This looks a little bit, you know, this looks normal because the camera has been adjusted. Now this looks much darker because it is. This is just an example of how much brighter the display is on the X1, and I think that is an amazing feature to have, especially on a display this big. The LIX is rated for around 500 nits. I'm not sure how many nits this is rated for, but it's more than whatever this is. So that should let you know this display is amazing. Okay, how else does the OneXplayer X1 excel? Now, the main selling point of this device is not the large display, while there's one of them, it is the versatility. This device, you can attach the keyboard and it can turn into a laptop. As you can see here, it has a stand on the back. Now it's a laptop, And this is where we get that 3-in-1 sort of situation. As a tablet, if you take the controllers off, it becomes a tablet. As you can see here, the controllers detach, and now it is a full Windows tablet. Pretty thin here. Turn that TDP down and it will stay cool and run for hours. It's a tablet, it's a laptop, it's a handheld, and no other device has this level of versatility. And that's where the X1 is really unmatched. This is probably one of the most powerful, Windows tablets of this size. It also has this magnetic keyboard that attaches, with the pogo pins, doesn't need any extra batteries. And this keyboard is actually pretty decent. I wrote this entire script on this keyboard and it does actually feel good. Trackpad is decent, not the best, but it definitely is passable. And it also has a webcam on here for face unlock and video conferencing. This turns this device into the most versatile, most feature complete, laptop replacement of any device on the market right now. Now, another thing that makes this device stand out is the ports. Not only does it have two USB 4, versus the one USB 4 on the LIX, it does have two ports, but one is USB 4 and one is USB 3. This has two USB 4 ports on the side. On the other side, it has a USB A, as you can see here, and then on the top, it also has Oculink. And that's gonna give you super fast eGPU connection up to 63 gigabits per second from the Oculink port on the top. So this is like a fully featured device here. Two USB 4, USB A, Oculink. This is everything that you would ever want as far as ports go, except for like a HDMI port. But the only handheld with HDMI is the WinMax 2, but that's a beast all in its own. So it excels in the ports. Now it also excels, like I showed you earlier, with these controllers. Not only do they come off, now they don't work independently like the Legion Go, but they do have this optional controller connector that connects the controllers. It has a battery built in, and it also has this, so you can connect this to any device, any computer. You can connect this USB dongle to, and now you have a fully wireless controller here. And this is gonna let you set this up on the side, and now here you are. If you just want to hold the lighter controller, you do have the option for that. So the controller definitely has more features. It can turn into a full-fledged wireless controller, and I think that is an amazing feature to have with this controller connector. Has a battery built in, has the wireless transmitter. Now it does take up one of the USB ports, but I think that's great to not have to worry about Bluetooth and the latency that comes with that. I think that's a trade-off I'm willing to make as someone who really cares about low latency. So that is one of the amazing features with these controllers here. Now I do wish they had like a built-in battery, but hey, we have this, and that does sort of make up for it in my opinion. Now, the next thing that the X1 excels at is probably going to be the performance. Now, this does have 50 or 25% more RAM. This is 32 gigabytes versus 24 gigabytes. Now, does that make a difference in gaming, having 32 versus 24? This is the 8840U versus the Z1 Extreme, which is pretty much the same chip without the AI cores, whatever that means. But before we get into the performance, I just want to send a shout out to the partial sponsor of today's video. Now, if you've been looking closely, you can see I have these matte screen protectors on my X1 and my LIX. As you can see here, we have that anti-reflective matte screen protector, and that is none other than the partial sponsor for today's video, Mag Glass from Encased. They have glass screen protectors for most of the handhelds out there: Steam Deck, ROG Ally, Legion Go, the Switch, even the Razer Edge, which I was like kind of surprised by. But this is a great screen protector. They have matte versions and regular versions with the glossy screen. But yeah, shout out to Mag Glass for partially sponsoring this video. When I say partially sponsoring, I just mean they sent these screen protectors out. They didn't pay me to say this. They didn't give me any money or any cut of the profits. They just sent these out to test out, and I've been loving them so far, so I call them the partial sponsor. But they didn't really give me any money, but they gave me these things just check out for you guys, and I do think they are awesome. So with that being said, let's get into the performance test, and then I'll give you my final thoughts and get you guys out of here. Okay, so we're gonna run some benchmarks. The first one being Cyberpunk 2077. Now, just a heads up, all of the benchmarks are gonna be running at 30 watts, 1080p or 1200p, depending on what resolution the game supports. Now, Cyberpunk, we are going to be at a low medium mix. We do have FSR 3, so I think we're going to use that just to see what you can do in this game. FSR 3 frame generation on, you know, low, medium, mix settings. Let's see what these devices can do with the frame generation update in Cyberpunk 2077. Interested to see what type of numbers they can do with this new frame generation update. So let's run the benchmark and see what how they do. Okay, so benchmark is done. The X1 got an average of 80.66 FPS. Now that's amazing. That's the most I've seen in Cyberpunk benchmark on a handheld. Of course, we have frame generation now, so that is great to see. Now the LIX is lagging behind a bit at 66.69. Don't say it. So it's a bit behind here, but we got over 60 on both of these, so we should have a pretty decent, you know, experience on both of these. But the X1 definitely pulls ahead here. Happy to see that there. Now, just so you can see the settings here, I didn't like have any weird settings or anything like that, but great to see the X1 pulling ahead slightly in this benchmark. But we have a lot more chances for the LIX to, you know, come back. Let's get onto the next benchmark and see how these devices do. Okay, so the next benchmark we're running is the Forza Horizon 5 benchmark. We are at the medium preset, 1080p, 1200p, FSR is set to quality. So this should give us a good sense of how this game is going to run on both of these handhelds. So let's run the benchmark and see how they do. Okay, so the benchmark is finished. The ROG LIX got 73 FPS and the X1 got 71, so pretty close. So I'll call that a tie, especially because this is at 1200p, this is at 1080p. I know people are gonna, in the comments, are gonna say run them at the same resolution, but this is a 1080, this is a 16 by 10 display, so this game is running at 1200p. So I call this a tie, but just for the technicality, 73 versus 71, pretty good performance from both of these. But yeah, let's get on to the next benchmark. Okay, so the next benchmark is going to be the Returnal benchmark. Now this game is pretty tough to run on these handhelds. We are at 1080p or 1200p, low settings, FSR set to performance. So this is going to give these devices a pretty good chance at getting a decent result. Let's run the benchmark and see how they turn out. Okay, so the benchmark is finished. Pretty good scores here. 47 FPS, very respectable. And the X1 came out on top at 49, which is coincidentally the highest I've ever seen on any handheld so far. As well as 49. I've run this benchmark, I don't know, countless times at this point, and I've never seen it crack 50 for some reason. I don't know if it's just like it can't hit 50, but no matter how many times I run the benchmark, 49 is always the highest, and it never gets to 50. I'm not sure why, but 49 versus 47 in the Returnal benchmark, very respectable scores. You're gonna be happy on either of these devices, but you know, we did get slightly higher on the X1. Now, a few more benchmarks, let's keep it going, and I'll give you my final thoughts, and I'll get you guys out of here. Okay, so the next benchmark is gonna be Black Myth Wukong. We're gonna be at low settings, 1080p, 1200p. We're gonna have FSR on, frame generation on, super resolution set to 60. So let's run the benchmark and see how these devices do. Okay, so the Black Myth Wukong benchmark has finished. X1 got 64, and the ROG LIX actually won this with 69. Don't say it. So 5 more FPS on average on the X1, so that's pretty respectable here. So yeah, I mean, I'll call it here for the benchmarks. They go kind of back and forth. Some benchmarks favor the X1, a few favor the LIX. On average, you're gonna get around, you know, similar performance from both of these. Now I know this has more RAM, but I have 8 gigabytes of VRAM set on the LIX and 10 gigabytes of VRAM set on the X1. Once you get past like 8 or 10 gigabytes of VRAM, the GPU is going to be maxed out. It doesn't really matter. So it's going to be similar performance between both of these. Even in like VRAM limited scenarios, your GPU is going to max out long before you need 10 gigabytes of VRAM in like 99.9% of cases. So which one do I recommend, or which one is like my, I guess, preferred one? I will say it really depends on, what your preferences are, what you want or need from the device. Now, I would say, the LIX is for someone who just wants a great handheld focused device. That's all it is. It's just a handheld, and it does the handheld almost better than any other device on the market right now. Great performance, the best battery life on any Windows handheld right now. Great screen with that 120 hertz VRR. You cannot forget that. 1080p is a great resolution without really pushing it too high, and the price is lower, than the competitors when you get outside of the the mainstream handhelds. So that is a pretty respectable price, all things considered. Now, I will say you should get the X1 if you want the ultimate handheld device that is going to replace everything. Replace your handheld, replace your laptop, replace your tablet. This is going to be the one to get. This 3-in-1 device is really unmatched. And you get that 8840U, 32 gigabytes of RAM when you need it. This is pretty much a device for those people who just want to have one device to do it all. The LIX, it could technically replace your desktop if you hook it up to like, a bunch of dongles and stuff and dock it, but the X1 really can replace your laptop, your tablet, your handheld, all in one device. I think if you need an all-in-one device, this is going to be the one to get. If you need just a handheld, then you can't really go wrong with the LIX. They both have their own sort of, target audience, if you will. Now, leave a comment down below if you are leaning towards the X1 or the X1, sorry, or the LIX. Let me know in the comments down below which one you're leaning towards, and we can talk about which one's better in the comments down below. Like I said, you can't really go wrong with either of these devices. You want the big boy or you want the big battery. It all depends on what your preferences are. I actually love both of these devices. I really am excited with the X1 just because there's never been a device that like is this large and you can still hold it in hand. I know some people say it's not a handheld, but to me, with large hands, it's not too heavy, it's not too bulky. I do love the X1. The LIX is still like a tried and true standard device. Can't really go wrong. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And as always, like, subscribe, ring that bell, all that great YouTube stuff. And check out this carbon fiber skin I got. It's dope, ain't it? Anyway, catch you guys in the next one. If I don't come back from retirement, then you know where I am. Peace.